coming off a 3-day weekend. I took Monday off. For those of you that don't know, we record on Tuesdays.
Yep.
I took Monday off. Took a little day to recharge the old batteries. Played a lot of video games. I was cooking in my chair.
Good.
Because I was just sitting there, like a rotisserie chicken. It was pretty cool.
The weather's been kind of crappy, so
it has been. We're experiencing a spring flurry of snow and rain sometimes up here.
Right now, it's kind of sunny outside and snowing.
It'll go from like 25 degrees to 60 degrees during some random day, and then it'll snow the next day. It's really stupid. I hate it. But
I like it.
Spring in Sheridan, Wyoming. I'm grabbing my outline here so I can read it really quick. Welcome to Active Reload. First off, monumental episode here today. Number 40. We're officially old enough to be called middle age, I think. 40, I think, is about middle age. No offense, Grant. You're still 39.
No, I'm not. I turned 40 in December. You son of a gun.
Middle age. That's all right.
I'm not afraid to admit it.
What's wrong with middle age?
And I'm a way better Siege player.
What's wrong with middle age?
Than 99% of everybody on Earth.
Let me ask you something. What's wrong with middle age?
Nothing.
That's right.
I feel great.
That's the right answer.
I'm married. And I have a kid. And
child, married, car.
Hot wife.
House.
Awesome car.
House?
I have a house.
A house with a cool basement that you can do anything you want and play video games
My man cave. I love it more than...
That's more than I think a lot of people
than
could
myself.
Say. Same. I love it more than you too.
Yeah. You can have it when I die in a few years.
Put it in your will. Thank you. I'd appreciate that. On the episode, on the old itinerary that we got here today, we're going to talk a little bit about video game streaming. Lots of stuff happening over at Twitch. YouTube is getting into the streaming game. They have been over the last few years. But
but they're coming up.
They're popping out a little bit more. We're going to talk, Kick as well, if you want to talk about cesspool. And then previous, what was Microsoft's called?
It was
Microsoft. It was some stupid name. It was a bad name. Honestly,
I forgot what it was called.
But Ninja signed there, and then he took the money and was like, "Thanks."
They were doing giant signing bonuses.
Yeah, and then it crashed. It all crashed and failed. So we're talking a little bit about video game streaming. We're going to talk some other stuff. Dragons, Dogma, Rise of Ronin came out. Some weird reception there. Grant is playing on HDMI 2.1, 120 hertz. That's the end of that topic. And then we'll get into games.
Yeah, and then games releasing that this week is not that much, but
we'll just talk about games. That's usually what happens. We had an episode not too long ago.
You like video games?
We had an episode 2 episodes ago where we just talked about Mass Effect for 20 minutes. So
yeah, and
sometimes that's what happens.
We also talked about SpongeBob actually for like 10 minutes.
Oh yeah,
was that last week? Yeah, great game.
Shout out SpongeBob.
I actually almost finished that.
Okay, well you have to give us your comprehensive review.
I will.
Of SpongeBob Battle. Is it Battle for Bikini Bottom?
Yep, Battle for Bikini Bottom remastered.
Okay.
Yep.
They're remastering everything these days.
So,
all right, let's start.
The state of video game streaming. James, do you like watching game streams?
Well, Grant, I'm glad you asked. Because you want me to be honest with you?
Yeah.
Not really.
Me either. So I used to.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite streamer is Dr. Disrespect. I like that guy. He's also
very
from
popular.
The area of the planet that I'm from. And I don't know, he's around my age, has a very big 80s and 90s like aesthetic when it comes to his character. His character.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just relate to him. He was on Twitch and then he left Twitch on some very strange
What's he on now? Is he on YouTube?
Now he's on YouTube gaming, so I just almost exclusively watch my gaming stuff on YouTube. I used to like streaming a lot. I had some friends that were streamers. I had that guy we shout out Deuce a lot. He was a streamer, maybe still is. I don't know. I hope he goes back. And he was a role play. What is it called?
GTA role play?
No.
RP. That's what I know it as.
Well, Red Dead RP.
Oh, okay.
Had an amazing
character. He was a cowboy.
It was awesome.
Cowboy.
Anyways, get back to that. That was hilarious. Endless hours of hilarity. But that was it. And that was all I really watched after Dr. Disrespect left. And I occasionally watch it now for Counter-Strike tournaments.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
And even then, I still can go to YouTube to do that.
Yeah.
But I looked up a lot of data today.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So one thing I should say, the data only goes to 2022. Now, fiscal year 2023 is already over, correct?
Yeah, they might not have all the data brought together yet, though. It's
So
only
it must be coming
March.
soon. I guess we'll come back to it.
If they're doing like I would assume, I don't know, it depends. It's different for each business, but I would imagine if they're doing because is Twitch publicly traded? I don't remember.
Well, it's Amazon, so Amazon's publicly traded.
So it's owned by Amazon.
Yeah.
But if they do like when they do a quarter one sales call, if they haven't done it already, I'm sure they talk to the people about 2023 and whatnot. So
I just haven't gotten any data on that yet, so it must be soon. Also, I basically use Twitch as how I use my TV in my house.
Background noise.
Besides gaming, it's just live sports.
Same. Yeah.
Twitch live esports. That's it. And which is funny because that's what most people.
Yeah.
Or I guess their biggest events are esports.
Live sports is the only thing that's keeping live TV afloat.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
I don't know why else. What else are you gonna watch?
Right. Especially since you can just stream all of it. Like you can watch it on any of the numerous streaming services. But yeah, for me, streaming. I started watching streaming pretty late, to be honest with you. Like I was in high school for the first time when I first heard about Twitch. Oh. I was like, "What's Twitch? I don't know what that is." And the first person I ever started watching was Tim the Tatman, and that was like towards the beginning of Tim the Tatman. And I've always been kind of a follower of his for a long time ever since then. But he was kind of like the only guy that I really watched a lot of. I watched Summit every now and again.
I didn't watch Summit.
But outside of those two, there wasn't a whole lot. And now, as I've gotten into older age, a lot of people I think use Twitch and streaming for the community aspect of it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the streamers, but the people that go into the streams use it for the community feeling that it gives.
Yeah.
The typing in the chat and whatnot, and feeling like you're being part of something happening in a community, I guess.
Yeah.
I never felt that need to be part of that, I guess, if that makes sense.
No.
I'll watch a lot of streams playback, so VODs. I'll watch a lot of VODs and whatnot. But I'm you're hard pressed to find me watching a lot of live streams very often, to be honest with you.
I used to watch a lot of people paint.
Oh, that's a good.
And a lot
good
of
to
that.
fall asleep to.
Yeah. Bob Ross.
Yeah, I know they have a 24-hour Bob Ross channel on Twitch.
That was really cool.
It's pretty cool.
So Twitch used to be Justin.tv, and I used to watch it Justin.tv. It was owned by a guy named Justin Kahn, who would just film himself. And then a bunch of other channels started popping up. That's where Joe Rogan Experience started, was on Justin.tv.
Really? I didn't know that.
And I used to watch a lot of stuff. Summit, and I was definitely there. I used to watch Lyric, who I liked a lot. Yeah, during that time,
one of the original legends.
Yeah, and then
Soda Poppin' was probably
Soda Poppin' as well.
Group.
Yeah, but they sold it to Amazon. And Twitch got it, or maybe sold it to Twitch, and then Twitch sold it to Amazon, and Amazon usurped it. I don't know.
Twitch bought Amazon bought it last. That was the most recent acquisition.
And then and like just for reference, I logged in today as I was doing this research. And I looked at the top 50 streamers, and it's very interesting. Very interesting. Basically, it's just like 5 to 10 were esports and esports related, like former Counter-Strike pros, because Counter-Strike Major is happening. The playoffs are this weekend or maybe Thursday. And so people are giving their picks, which is practically gambling. And then there were the top streamers, like the names that probably I think Soda Poppin' was on. And then there was mostly just IRL. Right, which is in real life of
hot tubs and pools. Yeah, it's kind of turned into almost
it's kind of gross.
Not a full-on camming service, but there is.
It's almost
a camming aspect.
It's almost a gateway now to get, and it's really gross. I guess. Well, I don't want to be a moral superior dude, but it's just gross. It looks like it's for young kids to step into the realm of the adult industry.
Especially since it's so easy for like children to get on that app.
Yeah.
Like it takes nothing at all. They're never, I think there's
an age requirement.
There's an age requirement to get in. But again, it's not difficult. If you're a kid that's grown up on electronics, it's like, okay, I know how to get by this. It's not difficult at all.
And it's also 50 of the, I don't know, 80 top streamers were this.
But again, also, if you ban it, if you're Twitch, you're stuck in a weird position, because if you ban that sort of stuff on your platform, you're losing a large portion of your audience.
That's a huge, I mean, we have I have some data, and most of this stuff that we're talking about has kind of taken place in the last year.
Yeah.
But I have the data up until 2022, and like here for age, it's 16 to 24 is 50% of viewers.
That's a lot. That's 50%. Does
40,
it say of how many viewers?
what do you mean percentage?
Like 50% of how much?
Or
does it say? I'm putting you on the spot.
It doesn't. It probably does, but I don't have that right now. I kind of want to off the top talk about how much money they make.
Yeah.
So as of 2022, they made $2.8 billion in profit.
That's Twitch?
Yep. Generated approximately $2.8 billion revenue in 2022. All this is taken from, by the way, StreamSheam.com and businessofapps.com.
A tough URL there.
Yeah,
if you
tough
read
URL.
it.
If you just write that out and look at it, it makes sense. The streamers in the top 100 on the platform make a minimum of $32.8 thousand USD per month.
$32,850 per month, and that's baseline.
Yeah,
that's like just going off of probably just like subscriptions, and then
there's bits,
there's donations
via subs, bits, and ads alone.
Oh, okay. So I mean that's
top 1,000
a minimum of that. Yeah,
top 1,000 make a minimum of $7,063 per month.
Mm-hmm.
Top 10,000 make a minimum of $904 USD per month, which is pretty respectable. That's actually not bad,
especially if you're doing it on the side.
I mean, top 10,000. I hit top 10,000 leaderboards in almost every video game I play.
Right. Brag about it.
73% of all users that are on Twitch make zero money.
That's not necessarily surprising to me because I think that I think a large portion of the people that are doing this aren't necessarily like that vision of them. That's always in the back of their head. I think for a lot of them is becoming a full timer, but they also know how like far out of a dream that really is.
Yeah, and it's not hard to stream. You can do it on your console by clicking a button on your controller.
Right. Yeah, it's not like that's one thing that I will say that is very easy, especially for the Xbox. The Xbox makes it really easy where if I'm in a party with a group of friends and I'm playing an MLB The Show game or a game that they haven't played before, and they're like, "Hey, stream it. I want to see what it looks like." You can just press a button on your Xbox and you can stream it, and all I have to do is look up your username on Twitch or your gamer tag, and it's right there, and they can just watch and see what it looks like. And that's the ease of access to that is incredible. But that's really the only thing I use it for. Like that's it.
Yeah, when I go on it now, it's really disappointing. I always thought like the evolution of Twitch would go into more gaming, but it's more into IRL in real life, hot tubs and working out. And stuff.
I mean, I don't necessarily see the hot tub stuff. I just think that's a huge, like a hard issue to resolve that is good for every party.
Yeah, I mean, you had to do it from the beginning.
Right. At this point, the cat's out of the bag.
Yeah, cat's out of the bag.
You're not going to be able to put it back in there without hurting a massive amount of your audience on either side, which makes it impossible. I will say that I think a large portion of the stuff that's outside of that is still like good content. Yeah. I think there's good stuff that comes out of the workout streams, and the cooking streams are still pretty cool. And
cooking
I think
streams are awesome.
Like the painting streams.
I don't care if you're in a bikini, but
like the painting streams are still very cool. And then there's like other stuff that's like 24 hours of. Like there's one, I can't remember the name of the channel, but there's one channel that just says like 24 hours of like cooking in the forest. And they just do like recipes over and over and over again. There's really cool.
A lot of stuff to be looking there. It's just funny when you're trying to. It's a little deflating.
It's a crazy juxtaposition.
Yeah, it is.
For sure. Because you're like, oh, well, there's that. That's
like, I want to see speed runs on Mario Brothers.
Right.
Like, okay, didn't mean to click on that.
Right.
Or you did.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is people are meaning to do that as well.
Yeah,
which is part of the problem. I also think Twitch has a big issue.
It's a strange room to share.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, being put right next to you. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I will say that I think Twitch, even though they're backed by Amazon, which is crazy to me, they're purchased by Amazon. They're an Amazon parent company, if you will.
Yeah.
The increased development of the style of their site has increasingly got worse. In my opinion. Yeah. I think the UI is really bad on Twitch. I think a lot of like the user experience on Twitch, whether as somebody who's watching it, is not very good at all. which is crazy because Amazon, being the company that it is, has more money than God, should be able to create something that is at least an enjoyable experience, especially for people that...
To be fair, Prime is not very good at UI either.
I mean, you're right. But again, that's something that should be easily fixed, because, again, they can spend whatever money they want to fix that. But I do think that with Twitch... I don't know how many people are actually using it on their desktop versus a smart TV or a console or whatever.
I'm going to assume phone is probably the most.
That too, yeah. And again, Twitch as an app on iOS, at least for me, is not a very good experience. Their password program is very, very weird and very annoying to try to log back into because they require passwords that are, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just absurd because it's you have to have a password that's 18 plus characters and, with numbers and, whatever. And it
the ads are out of control too, by the way.
Well, that too, yeah. It's just, I don't know. I think as you progress with more money with a company like that, it should have increased how well it looked as an actual
of life.
Yeah, the quality of life experience for the people that are actually using it. And to me, it just has not turned out that way.
Yeah. Well, it's weird.
Yeah.
But YouTube has actually gone up. So
yeah,
I actually wrote down.
They've made a couple marquee signings because a lot of what they were doing, what YouTube was having to do, as well as I guess Microsoft was kind of the one that started this with their streaming service that I can't remember the name of.
Yeah.
But they signed Ninja, which is was a huge Twitch streamer,
and former Halo Pro.
Former Halo Pro. He got I think really, really big once Fortnite became a big thing.
Yeah, he did.
But then they signed him away. The Microsoft streaming service signed him away, and that kind of opened the floodgates for a lot of these other streamers to be able to sign with either with Twitch or with YouTube. They were kind of being able to make their brand something that they could make exclusive to a certain platform.
That's true.
And that we hadn't seen before Ninja, I don't think. Or at least he was the biggest one.
Yeah, that was cool. I think it was a big bonus that he signed.
Yeah, well, it was huge. And
that's what you're going to have to do if you want to compete. Well, I think if you want to compete with Twitch right now, just start slow and eventually Twitch will go down. Right. So I have
especially with something like YouTube.
Annual revenue here for the past 8 years, and it goes up from 2016. It's 275 million, and 2021 is where they hit, or actually 2020 they went from 1,890 million to 2,675 million, and then from 21 to 22, 2.8 billion.
Right.
It's starting to trend down. The annual monthly streamers is it went from 2020 6.9, then 2021
6.9. How many? 6.9 million. Okay.
Sorry, and then this is the average annual monthly. Not that it's not the average. Sorry, but the top.
Right.
And then it's down. People are making less money this year or last year than they did the year before.
Didn't they come out with a new
with 7.6? Sorry.
They came out with a new their subscriber base or whatever, their partnership program. They changed up the payment split. If I remember
they do that
correctly,
often.
recently.
And I didn't want to get into that. That's just
that's a whole other thing.
No one cares about that. But I will say that most of the popular streamers aren't that happy with it.
Right. True. And that's understandable. But again, Twitch is having to make these changes in order to keep up with, YouTube now. YouTube is very much coming for the streaming service in terms of live streaming video game content.
YouTube is obviously got a way bigger market and way bigger audience. They don't really embrace the gamer or the gaming streaming scene. I think they are going to a lot more starting this year. I from what I hear, the rumors, it's looking up for the YouTube gaming,
right?
Streaming and community and everything.
I think that makes sense. YouTube has always been, for the most part, a very steady source of that sort of content for the last however long they've been around, almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be blown away by the fact that a lot of people just start moving over to YouTube because, one, it is that security blanket. It's Google. Granted, Amazon kind of provides that as well, but Google's been in that business and YouTube's been in that business a lot longer than Twitch
has. And there's
has.
Other streaming platforms that are getting big too.
Yeah.
Rumble's getting big. Kick
is a huge one.
There's a whole bunch. The more the merrier.
I will say that something like Kick is
I've never once logged into Kick.
Right. It's come up as a competitor because there are big time investors into Kick. They have a Formula One team.
That's right.
They Drake, the rapper, the biggest rapper on planet Earth, is somebody that streams on Kick at times. So there are a huge amount of people that are invested. XQC, who was probably the biggest Twitch streamer ever,
was on there.
moved over to Kick because it allowed gambling, which, that's a whole other conversation to have about the morale of having that sort of stuff streamed to people who aren't able to not
games.
watch it.
You mean that 50% of the 16 to, what was it, 24?
Yeah, 16 to 24-year-old kids or people.
Hey, if you're 16 to 24, I advise you to don't jump into gambling away.
Here's what I'll say. If you're jumping into gambling, no, you're not going to win very often. It's a losing game.
The best advice I ever was given from, I think it was my dad. He said, just bring the money you're willing to lose.
Right. But that's the thing, is it makes it seem like for those guys that are doing that, they make it seem like there's an infinite amount of money that they can't lose. And a lot of it is staked by Stake,
definitely.
Which is a huge investor into Kick as well.
Yeah.
And that's something that's not very
that was big on Twitch, the Counter-Strike accounts being sold and stuff.
Yeah.
For all these valuable
Did you see, by the way,
skins?
Did you see Rainbow Six Siege is messing around with possibly having that as well now too? Where you could sell your gun camo skins.
I actually kind of like that. Making a marketplace.
I don't think it's bad either. But
as long as the profit goes towards the betterment of the game.
Right.
Or the community, like in Counter-Strike, it goes to the pros. It goes to big jackpots or big money pots for the tournaments.
Right. Yeah. And
it's all user-created money. It's the viewers making the money and profiting.
Right. And that's the thing. And it's a big circle because they're getting these skins based on, and this is maybe a little bit different from Counter-Strike, but for Siege, you have packs that you open, and then if you get a black ice or something, you can sell it on the market. It's just a big circle.
Yeah.
It's just feeding back into the game.
Anyways, that's it for Twitch. I just wanted to talk about the state of streaming, and it's just in a weird place.
Yeah, it's in a place of change. I think there's very much momentum of change happening. There's people moving from different platforms to other platforms, and exclusivity for certain streamers to different platforms and making a lot of people
move. Say this though, Grand Theft Auto, your next game,
6.
You should really lean in or have the ability for the community to lean into the role playing, streaming world.
Yeah, I would be stunned if they didn't do that because of how big it's created a huge longevity for GTA 5.
It is extremely entertaining.
Yeah, and the longevity that it's created for that game, and GTA 5 is going to last that long regardless, but just in terms of how many people are watching it because of RP, it wouldn't have happened without RP.
As a matter of fact, I'm probably going to be watching it more often because I'm not going to have a computer big enough and powerful enough to play it, and my PS5 and my Xbox Series X also aren't going to be powerful enough to play it at more than 30 frames.
GTA 6 reportedly going to be delayed as well, unfortunately.
Oh, you really?
I saw that.
Wait, it never had a date.
2025. It said coming 2025.
So now it's not coming 2025?
There are rumors, allegedly, so I don't get in trouble, rumors of it being pushed to 2026.
Yeah.
Which makes me sad.
Anyways, number 2.
Let's move on to some other games that have come out recently that had a lot of hype around them, I guess I should say. Rise of the Ronin. I don't know how much hype. It was a big hype.
I assumed it was going to be better than what it was.
Right. Rise of the Ronin, Dragon's Dogma 2. I think you're in the what's the phrase? Minority, there we go.
Jeez. Well,
it's my Monday.
This is what I said. When these games were announced, I was excited for Rise of the Ronin. And then the more I saw of it, the less excited I got. Yeah. And the more excited I got of Dragon's Dogma. Dragon's Dogma Part 2.
Yeah.
And then when they released Dragon's Dogma Part 2, totally, I do not want to play this game anymore. And now I want to play Rise of the Ronin a little bit more. The problems with Rise of the Ronin are your typical open world problems.
It looks bad.
It gets boring. The graphics aren't that great. And I'm okay with that. And the bloat of items.
They look like this is their first time working on an open world game.
Yeah, it's true.
Or having ever seen an open world game.
Well, have you ever played Neo? There was a lot of item drops that were just garbage. Mm-hmm. So you had to manage an inventory that was filled with junk.
Right.
And it's not fun, kind of like Borderlands, where managing your inventory is kind of fun.
Yeah.
This is not fun. You just throw everything away.
Yeah, that gets dull very,
that gets
very quickly.
really annoying fast, especially in open world games when you are trying to do something. But
and if it's happening frequently, you're like, please stop.
The fighting and the game or the sword play look like Ninja Gaiden to me.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to play that. And now I just really, really want them to go back to Ninja Gaiden.
I think
stop doing this stuff.
When this game was coming out, I think a large majority of the people also thought that the fighting and the combat were not going to be a point of contention. Like they knew that they were going to get something solid out of it because it's the people
These
coming
guys
from
are
Ninja
really
Gaiden.
good at that.
I do think that there was maybe some sort of hesitancy towards a big open world game because they hadn't really done that before. Except for, I guess, Neo. Was Neo open world or was that?
No, it was like Dark Souls.
It was like Dark Souls? Okay. So yeah, I mean, and you know, I think people are going to find it's going to be one of those games that I think people are either really going to love for the certain aspects of it, or and people are really going to hate because they can't get over, you know, it doesn't look great graphically, it's bloated, and there are some people like Grant here who might love it because the combat's amazing.
Yeah, I heard the bosses are really cool. I really like Ghost of
Tsushima. Wow, hey, is it your Monday too? Your Monday too?
No,
Yeah,
Ghost of
that's right. It's your
Tsushima.
Tuesday.
I don't speak Japanese. It's when
Ghost of Tsushima.
Thank you.
Gotcha.
I didn't like their boss fights.
Okay.
I thought they were boring and easy.
I think
and,
that's fair.
Cheap.
I really liked.
So when I saw Rise of the Ronin boss fights, they look really good. So the story's not going to be as good.
My favorite boss
guarantee.
fights in Ghost of Tsushima were the Ronin fights because they were all like really pretty.
Yeah.
Like they were in like there was one that was on the beach with like the fog rolling in and whatnot. Like I like the Ronin fights a lot more than I like the actual boss fights of the game. So
that game
that's
is very pretty. And then that by the way, that game is comparable to Rise of the Ronin,
right?
Even though it came out in a generation prior.
PS4. It was made for PS4 when it was first coming out.
Still looks better than Rise of the Ronin.
That's not great.
But it's fine. That is that Sucker Punch? No.
Yeah, that's Sucker Punch. Ghost of Tsushima?
Yeah, Sucker Punch.
Yeah, Sucker
and
Punch.
Sony's behind that, and that's a big time developer. They had a lot of money. Team Ninja is, you know, they're not even close to being as big.
Yeah, well, Ghost of Tsushima was definitely it sounds weirder every time I say it now.
I know.
Ghost of Tsushima was much more of like a leaned into first party exclusive. Like, hey, this is one of our big games that are coming out this year. I don't know if Rise of Ronin was really given that
It's true.
that credit, if that makes sense.
Either
But
way,
I will say, Dragon's Dogma 2,
Yeah.
the thing that appeals to me for this game, it is 30 frames.
Nope.
Okay, 30 frames per second. I understand, but usually when you
I
get
heard
30
it goes
frames,
lower than that too.
for the most part, when you get 30 frames per second on a lot of those games, there's nothing that it really exchanges out with. So you get 30 frames, but it's still, you know, loading screens, and it's still not working very well outside of that. Dragon's Dogma 2, there's no loading screens. Which
sure.
So if you have 30 frames and you're subtracting the loading screens, okay,
Not
cool.
good enough for me.
That's interesting. I appreciate that they're able to create something out of it, but there are like the fact that you're running through crowds and whatnot in certain towns, and the crowds are literally just appearing like 10 feet in front of you
Yeah.
because it's not well optimized. Then, you know, that's a problem. That's a problem.
There's some DLC problems. I don't have problems with the DLC and the microtransactions, but there is one problem I have, and that is you can't have another character. You can only make one save.
Yeah.
You hear about
I've
this?
heard. Yeah, I've
You
heard
can
about
change your character at a certain part in the game where you can go back to start from zero,
that. Yeah.
but you can't do it right away. Strange.
It is. Yeah, that's who's the developer for Dragon's Dogma? I can't remember.
Capcom.
Capcom.
Yeah, the guys
Capcom,
that do
okay.
Final Fantasy. Just joking.
Don't do that to me because I will mess that up.
No, it's Capcom.
So
Resident
Capcom,
Evil guys.
They've had issues in the past with
Yes, they have.
microtransactions of this sort, haven't they? Didn't
Yep.
Street Fighter run into a problem like
Yep.
this as well?
Yep.
Which is also Capcom.
Which they kind of apologized for it, and
Right.
they also apologized for this one too. They made a strange apology. I don't think you need to apologize for that. I don't know. I think that on PC, the game looks interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The character creation is probably the best ever made.
It's yes.
Outside
I
of a
agree with
game,
that.
probably just made for character creation.
Right. Except maybe like what's the other fighting game that was on PlayStation for a long time? Something Instinct, Dead,
Instinct.
Blankins, Deadly Instinct. Hey, I'm good at this.
Deadly Premonition?
No, that's not. There's no
game's
character.
awesome.
It's a fighting game though. Hey,
I
we're
don't
good
know.
at this.
Killer Instinct.
Yes, thank you.
That's
Killer
Xbox.
Instinct. Yeah, that was on Xbox. That wasn't a PlayStation.
Nope, it's only Xbox.
Hey,
it's made by
guys,
Rare.
how are you? But I've heard that is a very good. That's a very good character creator as well.
That came out during the Xbox One, so
Yeah.
it was like a launch game. But
What happened? To
it was
Killer
also on
Instinct?
Nintendo 64 and arcade back in the day.
Right, and then Rare died.
Xbox bottom.
Well, it died.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah. Anyways, Dragon's Dogma. I want to try it, but again, it's one of those things. It's a sequel, and it's like I don't want to feel like I have to play the first game.
You won't need to.
And that's what they all say.
We'll play Arisen.
What'd you just call me?
Dragon's Dogma Arisen. Dark Arisen or something like that.
That's
which
what
is
it's called?
The remastered version of the 360 game. Yeah.
Oh, it was a 360 game. I didn't know that.
It took a
Wow,
long
cool.
time for this
Okay.
game to get a sequel. And it's loved by people who play it.
Yeah.
It's just, I can't do 30 frame action game.
Yeah, you gotta
Can't do it.
You gotta get yourself over
Cannot
that.
do it.
Gotta get
I'm
yourself
not
over
going to be
that,
able to
but
do
people-
Grand Theft Auto. So
That's insane. If that is holding you back from arguably the biggest game in the history of video games in terms of releasing, that's a problem.
it'll hold me back for sure.
You need to go
I
see a
can't do
therapist
it.
about that.
Speaking of frames, I wanted to tell you something, James.
Go
Because we
ahead.
were talking about Siege last week.
You were
know,
talking about
how
wait,
I
hold on.
can't stand.
Hold on a second. Before we got into this,
Every time you do this,
you said, "Hey, these are numbers no one really cares." And now we're going to talk about
Yeah.
you playing on HDMI 2.1 120
it's very
hertz.
simple. Very simple. So my monitor for my PC, I got a nice monitor. I don't even know what it is. It's an Acer, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. It's new though. I have an HDMI 2.1, which means that my Xbox Series X can be plugged into my monitor with an HDMI cord, and I can run my games at 4K, up to 4K on 120 frames. So I was having issues with Siege. Remember last week? I popped that into my monitor. I am running Siege at 1440p, 120 frames. I am instantly better.
Skill problem.
It's a lot. It's a smoother. It's way more smoother.
That's a double.
I know.
Entendre.
Whatever.
Whatever.
It's
whatever
more
it is.
smooth.
It's smoother. Just say it's smoother.
It's smoother than
There we go.
vanilla. Sorry. And it's making me like the game a lot more.
Right.
So now I'm going through all these games that have 120 frames. Apex, Battlefield 4, which is awesome.
That runs at 120 frames.
Yep, still at 720p for some reason, but
That's funny.
sub HD. There's a couple more. Halo.
Infinite?
I've been playing Halo now because I've always played since the Series X. I've been playing Halo with a mouse and keyboard. I think Halo does mouse and keyboard and versus controller better than everybody. And playing that on my Xbox with 120 frames with a mouse and keyboard, oh, it feels so good. It's like a brand new game to me.
It's because you're getting double the frames. You're seeing
Yeah.
twice as much game.
Yeah,
Technically.
there are some games that are completely broken at 120. Rogue Company, my brother showed it to me. We fired like a 30-round rifle at the same time, and I was playing at 60 frames, and he was playing at 120, and he finished his magazine probably 8 bullets before me.
What's Rogue Company?
Rogue Company is a free-to-play third-person shooter.
Why have I
competitive
never
shooter.
heard of this? I don't know what this game is.
You don't know Rogue Company? It's really
No.
cool, actually. It's actually pretty cool.
You're introducing me to a game.
Dr.
that I've never
Disrespect
heard of.
has a character in that game. He designed a level, too.
What is this game? I've
It's
never
actually
heard of
really
this.
good.
Okay, all right.
But a huge advantage for 120 frames in that
Yeah,
game.
I gotta look. I gotta see. if-
Huge advantage. I
I
mean,
gotta
if
see if
you
I
can
have.
shoot more bullets than the
Yeah,
person
duh.
using the same gun, if you can register more hits faster
Right.
than them, then you're going to win every time.
If you're seeing more frames than the other person, you automatically have an advantage.
Yeah, you don't see if you go to Twitch right now and watch all these pros play all these games that are having their big majors this week. None of them are playing underneath, probably 244 hertz.
It's an expensive monitor.
Yep.
Hey, I'm glad
Hey
you brought
there.
that up.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, invite me to Siege, and I promise I won't suck anymore.
We'll see. We'll see about
on.
that. We'll see about that.
We don't. You know what we're gonna do, James? I want you to get the 4 of the best players you can find. Give me. This is an old school '80s movie challenge.
Okay.
Give me 1 week.
1 week.
Give me 14
Rank's
days.
going on right now.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Give me 2 weeks, and I want you to get your best 5 players.
4.
Whatever, your team of 5, and I'm gonna get my best team of 5. and we're gonna have a good old fashioned challenge at the top of a mountain with keyboards.
Keyboards?
I mean, no keyboards allowed.
I was gonna say
We're playing Siege.
gamepads.
Gamepads. Yeah.
Here's what we'll do it on.
And I bet we win.
That would actually be very interesting.
That'd be pretty fun.
Yeah.
By the way, if anybody's watching that is from SCO Team 6, James's team doesn't suck, so start practicing.
We're good. What can we say? We're good.
But
we just been playing for a long time.
Yeah, but we've been playing for a long time too. I guarantee. I know because I've played with you guys. We have more hours. It's just we haven't played in 4 years.
We played it more recently.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
It is fun.
I
It's
like
a
that
fun
idea.
idea. And there's private matches too, and they run great.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, that was actually recently implemented too. They just put that in there not too long ago.
Back in the day when we used to play, the private matches were poorly run.
Yeah, they were not good. All right. Anyways, that's the news.
Notable games.
That's what's going on. Notable games now. Time.
Notable games of the week.
What's coming out? Gran Torino.
Guess what? All these amazing games coming out. You know what? The month of April is going to be very, very slow. And I also like to mention, I'm like to shout out Sheridan Media. It's going to, by the time you see me next week, I'll be here for 1 year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, it's been a year?
It's been 1 year. I've been at Sheridan Media.
You know what, to be honest with you? It feels like it's been way longer than that.
Thank you. Sort of.
Yeah.
Is that a compliment?
No. 10 years up. I'm just kidding. No, that's crazy though. I didn't know that.
Yeah, 1 year. April 1st is my 1 year anniversary.
You started on April Fool's Day?
Yep, I did. And no one made that joke.
That's a joke.
No one made a joke. And I was like, wow, these guys they really don't like me. No one likes to do an April Fool's joke on me on my first day.
Do you know how awkward that is? Are you kidding me? The new guy? Hey, I'm going to April Fool's this new guy.
I would have done it.
Who knows how this would work?
I'm definitely going to do it the next guy we hire. Just joking.
Good idea.
If he's on April 1st. So April doesn't look too great for game releases, by the way.
Yeah, they put everything out in February and early March.
Notable games this week. The most notable is a demo that comes out on Friday.
Oh, a demo is the most notable. That's good.
Stellar Blade, that demo that was leaked.
Yeah.
It's going to come out officially. And I want you to play it because I want you to.
Wait a minute. How many games do you want me to play? There's so much here.
You're
telling me so many things.
Okay. It's a demo. Just play a demo. It's what, 30 minutes?
Yeah, right. There are demos that take way longer than that.
Maybe this one. Stellar Blade is that PlayStation 5 exclusive that looks better than I think people
are going to give it credit
for. Yeah.
We thought about that. We thought that about Ronin.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm gonna get Rise of the Ronin one day, and I bet I'll be like, "Wow, this game is actually better."
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think people are gonna look back on it and be like, "You know what? This isn't too bad," because the combat's there.
Yeah,
and that's like if it was flipped, it's like the open world was very cool, very
and
fun.
The combat was bad.
And the combat was bad. I think
it'll be forgotten.
Different conversation
immediately.
Yeah.
Only one game was able to do that, and that's Hellblade. The combat is just very, very mediocre, maybe sub-mediocre. It's just the story and the atmosphere is so intriguing that you're like, give me again. I'll do it again.
Yeah.
I played that game multiple times.
That's fair. I agree with that.
But anything else, like if the combat and gameplay loop is not fun, Red Dead,
come on, then, what are you doing?
No one's ever going to go back.
Nobody goes back to Red Dead.
No one goes back to Red Dead.
One of those famous Rockstar games ever made.
And then the final notable game releasing this week is Saviorless. It's a pretty cool side-scrolling adventure game.
Without a savior.
Yeah, you're going to an island without saviors, and there's a narrator who narrates the whole thing. It's very eerie, very cool. Mm-hmm. The 2D animation looks very hand-drawn, like old school Disney hand-drawn, but...
Like Cuphead?
No, not like that. Sorry. Maybe more like 80s. I don't know, heavy metal or fire and ice.
When I think of hand-drawn now, I only think of Cuphead.
I know, it's true.
You think they're going to make a second game in that game? A second sequel to that game?
You know what? I
hope they do.
They're not. I don't think they're making a TV show.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I think Netflix is doing it, right?
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Which, you know what? That's not terrible.
That's not terrible.
I don't hate that. Yeah.
Cuphead is extremely hard.
Yeah, that's...
I don't know. I mean, it's fun, but I think the best part of that are the visuals. So
yeah, it's one of the prettiest games I've ever played, just from pure art direction.
Oh yeah.
And since it's all hand drawn, people had to go in there and each frame draw something new.
Honestly, it makes it harder because of how pretty it looks. It makes it way harder because there's so many things on the TV to look at, but you don't have time to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, play Cuphead.
Yeah, it's really good.
Go play Cuphead, and then maybe once they're done making a TV show, which honestly is a great avenue. I like that idea for TV show for Cuphead is perfect. And then after they do that, they'll make a sequel, and then they'll do Cuphead Season 2 based on the sequel. Go play Cuphead. It's awesome. Just go download it on Game Pass. Help those people. They're awesome.
It's on Game Pass?
Yeah, because it's an Xbox exclusive when it first came out.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I got it on PlayStation when it finally came to PlayStation, and it was a couple years later.
Yeah, it was I can't remember what's the name of the company that.
Oh, I can't remember. The two brothers.
Yeah.
Two friends. I don't know.
Awesome.
Who knows?
So cool.
Very, very good artists.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, that's the games of the week. What are you playing right now?
What am I?
Because I have a game that I'm playing that I want you to play that I'm going to buy for you, and I got to.
You're going to actually buy it for me?
I will. I already got it. I already got the funds.
You already did it?
Got the Microsoft Awards points enough to buy a $10 game.
You're going to gift it?
Yep.
That's awesome.
It's a game. It's a one-way game exchange.
You also can't call it a game, I would argue.
It's true.
Because it's basically a novel. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, you go on.
So I'm playing MLB The Show, obviously. I talk about that every week, whatever. I cannot get more interesting, I'll be honest with you.
Well, I watched you playing it, or I saw that you were playing it, and it said you were playing the Xbox One
Yeah, I'm actually
version.
very curious about that. If I'm going to go, I'm going to go home and look and be like, do I have the wrong version
James,
downloaded?
It said he's playing the Xbox One version, and I was like, oh, James must be really upset with the Series X version.
But I think they do that because there's a PlayStation version and then the Xbox version, and I think they just call it the Xbox One version, but I could be wrong about that. I could have downloaded the wrong game, which would actually make me angry.
It's actually very easy to download the wrong game.
They don't make it.
It's a Game Pass game, and they're side by side right next to each other.
It's really dumb how they do that. I hate it.
It's honestly better than the PlayStation one. The PlayStation way to do it is
goofy.
Sometimes you have to really search for the PS5 version.
Yeah, that's ever since we started doing this, where I wish we would get away from making it for both consoles, even though I think a majority still are only on Xbox One and PS4 era. But the way we push into the future is if we're like, hey, we're not coming out with Xbox One version of this game.
Well, you can buy the PS5 Pro and have a strange upgrade for $700.
You don't need to do that. Just buy the PS5. There's no reason to buy the PS5 Pro. That's a thing that's coming out apparently, and
that was in the news. I just didn't want to talk about more negative stuff, and I also didn't want to talk about.
It's not necessarily negative. It's more confusing.
It's just.
It's more.
It's an upgrade, and there's not a lot of final. It's all coming from leaked stuff.
Right.
It's official.
That's how most console news comes out, though, for that stuff.
And so it's hard to hear what Sony has to say, and without a pricing, you have no idea what it's going to be worth. If this thing is $500, like a PS5 right now, is it 500 or 450?
I think it's 500 still.
So if it's 500 and they drop the price of the regular PS5 to 400 or 350, then I'm going to be like, get the PS5, but if you want the PS5 Pro, go for it because it's going to be a little bit more powerful. But
it's a little bit more powerful.
If you have a PS5 and you want to upgrade to something that might be up to $600,
don't do it.
It's a very low upgrade, and you're not going to play Grand Theft Auto 6 in 60 frames.
And you're also not going to play Grand Theft Auto 6 for another 2 years. So
and
worry about what you're going to play right now.
So you might be able to play, I don't even think you'd be able to play Cyberpunk with the ray tracing mode in 60.
Probably not.
I don't think so, because that has a lot of ray tracing in it.
Well, there's a lot of objects in that game.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, the PS5 Pro thing is just whenever they come out with these I get sometimes when they come out with these mid console releases like this, they sometimes make sense. Like the one that came out after the Xbox One that was way more powerful. It was smaller. I can't remember the name of it now.
It was the Xbox One S, and then the Xbox One X came out at the same time as the PS4 Pro.
Right.
And that was a legitimate upgrade.
Right. And that was good enough to justify having an upgrade there. But there's not enough of an upgrade from the leaks that we've seen from the PS5 to the PS5 Pro that would justify anybody having a PS5 to purchase the PS5 Pro in any sense. There's no reason.
Well, it's also no reason to. The real reason you would want to do this is because you would want your developers that you're paying a lot of money to develop games for to not hamstring them and be like, hey, maybe the developers are like, hey, we want to run this ray tracing thing.
Yeah.
But we can't get it to run at 60 frames. We need a little bit more power. And what Sony has offered, I guess, from the leaked specs, it doesn't look like it's going to be running games at that much more fidelity.
Does it feel like we're at a kind of a tipping point when it comes to development, where the development of video games has kind of like outran the output of consoles at this point? Because that's what it feels like for me. Because it feels like all the time I hear like developers and they're saying like, we could have made this incredible, but
we're
the output that we're getting from the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 is not good enough to where we'd want. And then they have to downgrade certain aspects. And they're ending up having to downgrade a lot.
Dude, imagine if Rainbow Six Siege, that's still being worked on, didn't have to develop their game to run fine on the original Xbox One.
On the Xbox One, yeah. Which is probably still a large part of their audience.
I mean, the more characters you add, you're going to have to start to downgrade the graphics of the Xbox One, and everybody has to have their graphics downgraded.
Ubisoft also has historically made those demo or those trailers, fake
bull shots.
And it's like, this feels like what you want this game to be.
I know.
And then they finally get their hands on the console that they're developing for, and they're like, oh, well, we can't do any of this. It's weird where we're at a kind of a tipping point.
I think
that feels like that happens with almost every major release that we get.
Well, I also think
Skull and Bones is a perfect example.
Yeah. I also think that Sony and Xbox, they do not want to sell. Maybe Xbox does, but I don't think Sony wants to sell any more consoles at a loss. Mm-hmm. I think they want to stop doing that.
Well, and that's the thing is, a lot of these consoles, the newer consoles for sure, PS5 and Xbox Series X, are akin to maybe, like low-tier PCs. Yeah. And if you're buying low-tier PCs out of, any sort of major store, they're going for like $800.
Yeah.
$800 plus dollars. And that, you're never going to have casual people spending $800 to get a console. So Xbox and, or Microsoft and Sony are like, how do we advance with keeping our most people who have these consoles in the loop?
Game Pass is a way to do it. I think Sony wants to do that too with their PlayStation Plus stuff.
Right.
Tiers.
But if they want to keep upgrading, there's no way that they're going to be able to sell those consoles at $500 and make money off of them.
No, I think Nvidia should release a console.
That's a good show. I mean, they have
their shield.
More money than they want to, so they can absolutely do it if they wanted.
I think they should.
That makes sense.
I think maybe Microsoft should partner with them.
It'd be real expensive, though.
Well, I think Nvidia would know how to keep it low cost and powerful.
Yeah.
With their graphics cards, they have some graphics. I mean, I'm using my GTX 1060.
You have a 1060?
Yeah, and it's old.
Yeah, it is.
I'm playing Tarkov Arena, which I'm playing it at low settings, and that's a graphically heavy game, and I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Right.
So that graphics card has lasted way longer than my PS4. I think I got it around the same time.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, hey, that's anyways.
Games you're playing.
Playing Siege, MLB Show. I'm gonna start. This is a big one. I'm probably gonna start Elden Ring, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh yeah.
First time. Gonna try it out. I've seen too much stuff for me to ignore it any longer. It's one of the best games of the 21st century.
Yep.
I should not just ignore it because it's a Souls-like game, and I'm not very good at Souls-like games, and they just frustrate me to all end. But you know what? I'm going to try it because everybody who's ever tried it is like, this is a great game.
I told you there's a crazy stat. I don't know the specific stats in the data, but the amount of people that start this game and get the first achievement and get the final achievement after beating this game is very
high.
It's very high. The percentage is very high. Most people, it's like 10% or less than 10% of the people who buy a game finish it. And for some reason, Elden Ring, which is super hard
and long,
very long, a lot of people finish this game.
They end up playing it.
This game is loved by a lot of people, and it's a good game to jump in if you're bad at Souls games, Souls-likes games or whatever. You don't have to fight the boss.
Right.
You can go somewhere else. This is an awesome adventure game. I've never even beat it, and I felt like I've spent way too much time with it.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're gonna like it.
That's the thing I've heard from a couple of people is when you run into bosses that are too difficult, you can leave, and there are different areas you can explore that will make you progress further. That'll make it a little bit more of an even fight.
There are some things that I have to tell you to do or else you're going to accidentally miss it and have a even harder time to do things.
Such as
like there's this thing where you can ring a bell where you summon somebody to help you fight with these bosses.
Oh, yeah.
You can totally do something where you skip the girl that's going to give you the ability and a big story point in the game. You can completely skip that where you're not going to get that ability until 10 hours later, 12 hours later.
I didn't realize that was something you could just walk over. And
miss. You can. It's a pure open world game.
Yeah. Right.
So
I'm excited. I'm gonna start it.
Don't start before you start this game that I'm going to buy you. Now I've heard about this game, right? And the game is called Doki Doki Literature Club. For those of you who know this game,
it's a book.
Do not spoil or read or ruin anything of what kind of game this is to James in the comments, because I want this guy to play it. It's a 4-hour game at the longest. I mean, if you're a quick reader, which I'm sure you are, it's a visual novel, by the way. It's a romance, anime style visual novel.
It's barely a game, as some people would say.
It's a high school setting where you play as a boy and you have a friend who is a neighbor who introduces you to the literature club. And there's four girls in the literature club, and it's kind of a dating sim where in Japan,
but they're all over 18.
They're all over 18. It tells you in the very beginning of the game. It says
that's very Japanese of them.
Yeah, and so you have to write poetry, and each of the girls has their own style of poetry.
Okay,
and you basically can learn from them. And if your assignment every day is to write a poem, and I'm assuming I did it this way. I'm assuming that everybody does it this way. The game tries to get you to impress one of the girls,
right? And
so you impress the girl by writing good poetry using words that are come from your notebook. And it's a very very, very well written game, if you call it that. And the reviews of this game are unbelievably high.
Yeah, they're overwhelmingly positive from what I saw. Because I looked up reviews.
I know you don't like reading in video games. It's fine, but
no, it's not that I don't like reading. It's just that there's nothing else to it.
There's nothing to it. I mean, it's a choose your own adventure. You have to make choices, right? There's more than that, more than just reading. It's quick. If you can read fast, the music is good. And you
winced when you said that almost.
Yeah. And it's something I think you are going to really enjoy.
Okay.
And it's just a very, very good, the greatest visual novel in video game history. And now I've heard about this game, and I had some things spoiled for me, and other things. It was always on my radar. So it was always like, yeah, I heard of it. And then eventually, I was trying to find a game to play this weekend because I hate all the games I'm playing, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to finally play that game. Mm-hmm. It's free on Steam, by the way.
It's also on Xbox.
Yeah, it's also on Xbox.
And PlayStation.
The Xbox comes with all the DLC, so that's probably why it costs money. So
DLC.
I got it, and I played it in 4-hour sitting, and it's one of the most impactful video games I've ever played.
Wait a minute.
I'm
DLC?
Say that. Yeah, the Xbox has DLC with it.
Yeah,
so
but
it's called Doki Doki Literature Club Plus.
What's in the DLC?
Well, I will not ruin this for you.
Okay, all right.
I'm not gonna.
Should I play the DLC, or is it not that type of DLC?
Well, you play the main story first.
Well, of course, but there's DLC. Did you play the DLC as well?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I mean, I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing.
He knows nothing about this game, which is
I've heard of it, but I've never looked.
It's going to be amazing for you. I can't wait. And so I'm also playing. I'm not playing anymore, but I checked out Warzone Mobile.
Oh yeah, how'd that go?
So that game's terrible.
Wow,
and, but I will say that it's Verdansk. So if everybody wanted to play Verdansk,
big appeal for everybody. Yeah.
It's that. So it's the first Warzone map, which a lot of people love. So the first thing I did, I as I was flying through the air, I was like, "Hey, it's Verdansk. I'm going to go to the shopping mall or whatever it's called, the grocery store."
Close enough.
What is it called?
It's one of the two. It's something like that.
I jumped in there, and I assumed it was going to be like PUBG or Call of Duty Mobile, where they just throw you in with bots.
Yeah.
And at first, no, you jump right in with people. So I died immediately. And then I tried like 5 or 6 matches. It almost melted my phone. So I immediately turned on to lowest settings as possible. I recommend that even with the best phone.
Yeah.
They have some really cool technology in it where it's streaming the textures.
Right.
I think that's a really interesting idea.
I think
especially for mobile games.
I think there's some games that also do that. If I remember hearing correctly, because of there has been a weird jump to mobile with that stuff. I think there has been some other games. Like I think Fortnite does that as well.
I know Warzone stream on Xbox One and PS4. You can stream high res.
Oh yeah, that's an option you can click. That's right.
But it doesn't work that well.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna be you're gonna get hitched a little bit.
Yeah.
Like hitching mean like
skipping,
like a little bit of visual lag.
Yeah.
So. It was awful. It was a horrible experience. I plugged my controller in. I have a Backbone, which is a controller for your phone, and it doesn't say it's compatible, but it is.
It doesn't say that it's compatible, but it still works?
I mean, I would have started from the beginning, but it's just, there's like aim acceleration nonsense everywhere. It's just filled with probably hackers and malware.
I don't know how far we're ever going to get when it comes to mobile gaming.
I don't either. Like the biggest people making games are making a mobile game and they're making it terrible. So what
don't you have phone?
Don't you have
phone?
Did we talk about that last week? That is offensive. We did. We talked about that last week.
Did we?
I think so.
I don't remember if it was off air or not.
Yeah.
Shout out Diablo.
Diablo, yeah. Don't developers. What are you doing?
That was. I mean, they very well know that was probably one of the worst moments for them.
Blizzard. I think
no. I'm talking like publicly, like in conference, like a conference wise. Behind closed doors, has been a little bit worse.
PR.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a hole. But yeah, phone like mobile gaming. It feels like it's kind of hit a peak, and it's like there's not a lot here.
Yeah, I guess mobile gaming. I think that Doki Doki Literature Club would be great on a phone.
Yeah, that's a great example for
And I don't think it's available on mobile. I don't think. Right. I think it would be a good one to do. They already have a free to play model for it. So,
you know what a perfect mobile game is?
What?
Microsoft Jewel.
Yeah,
so easy, just simple.
I really like that skate game. It's like
right. I know what you're talking about.
Like a finger flicking skateboard game.
Yeah. Bejeweled? I mean, it's just...
Bejeweled is good. I'm a sucker for the Genesis Bejeweled, which is, what is it called? Columns. I love Columns.
That's what it's called? It's just called Columns?
Yeah. It's basically
Bejeweled. That's a funny name.
And Hexic is really cool. I like that game too. But yeah, so anything where you read on your phone, I mean, mobile gaming, there is a place for mobile gaming, obviously.
I think like something like Tetris would be monster. On mobile.
But for some reason, no one wants to release a game that costs money, and they want to nickel and dime you, and they want to accidentally catch your kid accidentally putting in your credit card information.
Make some money.
That's what they really want to do.
Yeah.
So I actually started in the industry of concept art, going through mobile or trying to, and at least getting some freelance job with mobile games, and I will tell you right now, the people that in San Francisco, when I was there in the Bay Area, where they were developing games and startups for games, they were hiring people that know that build slot machines. So it's very predatory.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, we want to make a video game, but we need to hire this guy who makes slot machines.
Yeah.
So we can get your kids addicted to this game.
Yeah.
And it's just mobile is filled with developers stealing stuff. It's all stolen artwork. I mean, look at Flappy Bird. Flappy Bird is like one of the greatest success stories in mobile history, and all that stuff was stolen.
Well, and then afterwards, he was like, I can't do this anymore.
He's like, I can't do it. So much stress. No, you mean the lawsuits, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
The stress of all these lawsuits. He made millions of dollars, and I don't know where he's at now. But
that's the thing, too, is that like there's so many smaller games that I think could kill. Like Minecraft has a mobile version.
Yeah, it does, and it's actually really good. It's a paid version. You pay like what, $5 to $10 for it.
Yeah. But then like I think Stardew Valley would be great on
it is
something. Oh, it is on mobile?
It's on mobile, yeah.
There you go. That's a perfect
That's a perfect game. It's also not free to play. You can pay like $5 for that. I remember one of my friends, she's into Farmville, and I think she played Farmville to death, basically. Like she went through the whole game.
Yeah.
And I was like, if you like that, you probably like Stardew Valley. And she was like, oh, I want to play this. And the fact that she had to hold it like this to play it.
No, please tell me you're not.
And the fact that she had to pay $2 for it made her say no. A game that she probably would have put hundreds of hours into. And a lot of pleasure out of this game. She didn't want to pay $2, and she didn't want to hold her phone like that.
Oh my God, Farmville!
One of the greatest video games, probably of the 21st century, like you said with Elden Ring, Farmville or
Stardew Valley. Not Farmville.
Stardew Valley is definitely up there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's
It's loved by everybody who plays it on all kinds of devices,
especially with the development story it has. It's literally one person made that entire game.
It was his life project. Yeah, and that guy is rolling in the money right now. I mean,
he's living fine now. Yeah, except for your friend who was like, "I can't spend $2 on this.
I can't spend $2 on this.
Is this a joke?" Yeah, that's crazy.
And she's not a gamer. She just played a lot of games. I'm like,
still, can you imagine?
You can get into this game that all gamers love. It's just like, here's your door into the world of good video games.
There are plenty of stories like that, and then they got introduced to like Animal Crossing.
Yeah,
and they're like, I can't put this down. This is the greatest thing I've ever touched in my entire life.
Or a active reload favorite here. Say it with me.
I don't know what you're
Cooking
saying.
Mama.
Cooking Mama. That's right. Is that an active reload favorite? I was gonna say Unpacking because it feels like we bring that up.
Unpacking is a good game for a mouse, not great for a finger.
Yeah, for mobile, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Pinball games should be good for mobile.
Yeah, and for some reason they used to be, and then all of a sudden, Fairlight, the guys who make all those classic Gottlieb and Williams tables.
No, I was thinking of Williams. Yeah.
They sold the rights to it, and so it's owned by someone else. And those games are terrible now.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
That's all I have for games that we're playing.
That's it. We're done. That's the end of the show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this episode. If you're listening to this show, make sure to go check us out on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com and then just look up Active Reload. The URL's too long. So just you hit the Active Reload in the search bar. You'll find us. We're right there. Click on that. You can watch every one of these episodes, at least up until, when was it, 34 or something like that when we started. So we started recording video on 34. So go watch us, all the episodes. We appreciate it very much. Leave a like and subscribe. You guys know how it works. Hit the notification bell. I hate that I'm saying that I'm turning into that person. But,
it's okay. You're doing it.
That's what we got to do. So we greatly appreciate it. And if you're listening as well, leave a rating. We'd greatly appreciate that as well. And we'll be back next week. We'll be talking about the difference between Lawn Simulator and Power Washing Simulator.
Very big difference. Yep. And play Doki Doki Panic, or not Doki Doki Panic.
What's Doki Doki Panic?
That's a Mario Brothers 2 on Nintendo. Doki Doki Literature Club.
Play that.
And come back.
He's buying it for me.
And we'll all talk about it.
I won't buy it for you.
It's amazing.
He will buy it for me. See you guys.
Bye. Good work.
Good show.